We're back in Nove Mesto for the final race of the Biathlon World Championships, and hoping that this is going to be the climax that the 27,000 fans in the stadium are all hoping for as well. A Czech medal would be a sensation, but everyone interested in the battle between the two greats of biathlon at the moment, Emil Svensson of Norway and of course Martin Fourcade, the world #1 from France. They are the hot favourites, but there's one more place on the podium should they both perform to expectations. But it doesn't always go your way when you've had such a hard week, and of course they've each had 5 races so far.
Massenstart ist natürlich dann bei der WM was Besonderes, weil es der letzte Wettkampf ist.
Well, here's Mickey Grice just saying the mass start is something a little bit special. It's always the last race of the championships. Everyone has a look at the previous races and tries to work out exactly who's going to win. And he says, as the last race, it's very tactical. Everyone has to control their effort to a certain extent with 5 difficult laps to complete. But the first 2 shoots could prove very decisive indeed. He said in the men's race there are 2 giants, Svensson and Fourcade. Says they've dominated the World Championships so far, but as we were saying, it's pretty difficult to keep your form going all the way through to the end. And you have to keep an eye on the Russians. They've got a really good team. They haven't had any results so far, just 1 bronze medal to their name. And there's no doubt that they will attack. And Mickey Grice thinks that Anton Shapulin is going to be the man to shine for the Russian team today. We'll see. We will see. There's a huge amount of pressure on Shapulin and the rest of the Russians. And when you get that sort of pressure, well, it tends to result in mistakes in the shooting.
We have seen that, Patrick, over many years, that pressure, that added pressure. And you need to be relaxed on the rifles. You need to try and have some kind of relaxation in your mind. But maybe it's the same for everyone. Svensson and, of course, Fourcade want that extra gold medal as well, so they're feeling the same pressure.
Yeah, Fourcade going for his 6th medal, Svensson going for his 5th gold. Welcome back to Nove Mesto. There are the conditions for the final race. For the first time, it has got to 0. We've been sub-0 all the way through. No wind to speak of, nothing significant, and certainly not enough to give the athletes too many problems. I think weather-wise, the most stable World Championships we've ever had. Here's the course for the men's race. Remember, it's over 15 kilometres, so 5 times round the 3-kilometre loop. And where the marker is now, that's where the descending starts. But then, Mike, they do have that long climb up towards the range.
Once round this 3-kilometre track, Patrick, is tiring enough. As you said, 5 times. They're exhausted already. That's the feeling I'm getting from talking to some of the athletes. But it is the same for everyone. It's the best 30 starting at the same time.
Hugberg and Andersson from the Swedish women's team, they've turned up to watch today's race. There's a lot of expectation out there. Emil Svensson also on hand.
World Championships, I think it's one of the key factors to the Norwegian success is our skis. When the other nations have trouble with their equipment, we have had very good all the way. So I think it's one of our secrets is this World Championships.
Well, it's no longer a secret, but I think you can only agree with him, Mike. We've seen the Russians suffering in the women's relay in particular, and the German men and women suffering in the mixed relay and throughout the early part of the championships. A massive investment from the big nations in their waxing, and for Norway certainly it seems as though it's paid off.
I think that was very honest of Emil to talk about that. That aspect is huge, and the Norwegians have for so many years been the team that always get it right.
Well, there are the start times. They're all going off together. That's why it's called the mass start, but only the top 30 in the world. They've got today's start list just as with the women's, the medalists from the championships plus the rest of the top 15 in the World Cup standings, and then it's on how many points you've gained in the World Cup here in Nove Mesto. So it's the form athletes who race today. Well, certainly one of the 4 men is Martin Fourcade, and what a fantastic relay he had yesterday. Here he is saying he thought it was possible to make the podium yesterday, and he was thinking in terms of the bronze medal. He said he found some energy. He knew his legs could do it, so he decided he'd have a crack at the silver. And he says, but mainly here, it's all about mental energy. The physical energy is long gone. So it's all in the head, says Martin Fourcade. He says it's going to be another fantastic fight, the final race, talking about today's race, and he knows that he's going to be up against Emil Hegler Svensson. But I think those two would be foolish to think that it is just about them. The Russians, we've mentioned, under-rewarded for some great racing. They have a strong team, all 4 of their men in the top 10 of the World Cup rankings. Don't forget the likes of Jakub Fak, who's lightning quick, and Morovec, who produced the fastest time in the pursuit. They're all capable of winning this one because, as we mentioned in the women's, the shooting penalty, or the penalty for a missed target, is that much less than it is in any other race, so you can afford to go for it. "27,000 people have crammed into the stadium for the final event here in Nove Mesto. It's the men's mass start. Let's hope it's the climax that every single one of the fans have been expecting. Well, there they go. 3 rows of athletes, the favoured ones in the front. The top seeds get out first. Jakub Fak has started very well for Slovenia, and down goes, don't tell me that's Shapulin who's gone down. I think actually it's Yevgeny Garanichev, who had a disaster yesterday in the relay, so his fortunes have gone from bad to worse. Svensson caught up in, or is that Terje Bo? I think it's Terje Bo at the back of the field.
Bo was getting caught up there with his teammate Bjorn Dahlen. Garanichev has stayed down a long time. Was he hurt? It was with his teammate that he got tangled. Not hurt, just the spirit.
Yeah, memories of Frode Estel going down in the cross-country, I think it was Olympic Games, was it, where things happened? I think may have hurt his wrist, may have twisted his wrist in that little incident. We'll try and pick up on Garanichev later. No surprise to see Svensson out front, wearing bib number 1, leading the way, looking for gold number 5 today. He won, or played a part in the mixed relay. He won the sprint, he won the pursuit, he missed the individual, decided not to race in the individual, and that could be a factor today. But he did race in the relay and took Norway to gold on the last leg. But compared to Fourcade, Mike, he's had an easy ride over the last 4 days.
He has. When you take the 20-kilometre out of the equation, it's a huge difference in terms of recovery. And well, Svensson didn't have to push quite as hard in the relay either when you compare that to Fourcade. I love the way that Bjorn Dahlen took the hill here way out on the left and passed about 10 people in the process. I think, is that Garanichev at the back, so he is all right.
He's there. There's Andrea Henkel. She's got herself a share of both of the medals that Germany have won at this championship. Germany have never gone away with less than 3. It could well happen today. Russia are the worst they've ever been. They've got 1 bronze so far. They've been so close with Zaitseva, Mike. She's had, what, 3 fourths, 2 sixths, and I think she was down in 6th again today, or was it 5th? 5th today. So she's been so close for the podium every single time, but it hasn't quite worked out for her.
I think if you look at her placings, her aggregate is pretty much up there, because normally if an athlete's getting 3rd, as we saw with the Shimarenkos, the next race they're down in 42nd. So Zaitseva has been fantastic here.
There's Benny Vega for Switzerland with the little goatee beard that he's been sporting throughout the season so far. And there are lots of problems out there. The 2 men up front, Mike, are getting too much respect. Svensson, Fourcade. If you ask the coaches who's going to win, they'll all name one or other of those 2. But if you ask the athletes, they'll say the same. I'm just getting the feeling they're all agreeing with our Russian colleague, who says the podium's very small when you can guarantee that the gold and silver have already gone.
It seems to be the psychology of it that appears to be turning that way, but I have a feeling, can you keep producing mentally the big up to hit the targets? Can you keep producing mentally and physically the determination on the track? This is the 6th day out of 11. Oh, bad one. Is that Tim Burke?
Well, it is Tim Burke who's gone down, so he's now behind Garanichev, and going with him one of the Germans. I think it might have been Eric Lesser.
I hope we see that again, Patrick, because that's quite a drop-off. I hope Tim's rifle is all right. If he's hit that fencing, it may well have knocked his sights.
Well, we'll find out for sure when it comes to the first shoot in the prone position through the tunnel, and you can see for yourselves that the speed a lot higher than it's been throughout the championship so far. That's because it's got a little bit warmer. There's a bit more moisture in the surface snow now, and so the surface is glazed, and I don't think that fall from Tim Burke is going to be the first one we see today.
It's looking tough out there when it's so tightly packed. This race has taken a different personality, Patrick. Normally the first 3Ks in the mass starts are quite pedestrian, but Svensson with the fresher legs, he didn't do the 20 kilometre, he's making them hurt out there, and I think that's a good strategy from Svensson.
Well, you know the first two. Jakob Fak is the man in yellow. Just looking, is that Terje Boe tucked in behind Svensson? Yes, it is. He's certainly a potential winner here today. And Norway with Svensson, Bjorndalen, Boe and Labe Lund also in the team. A last chance for Bjorndalen maybe to get a World Championship gold?
I think it is, but he's going to maybe stay on until 2016. But certainly today, Patrick, he's as relaxed as I've ever seen him before a race. He was easily talking. He feels very comfortable. That is a bad fall.
Well, there were quite a few people involved, as you can see. One of the Swedes, that could be Lindström, who's got trouble with a missing pole.
It's Hofer, in fact, the Italian.
It's Hofer of Italy. It is Hofer of Italy. Well spotted. And the Austrians also with Landerting are getting tied up. So the pace at the front, although it's fairly fast,